For all of you who listen to Submersion and own an Android device, go to the Google Play Store and download the Podcast Republic app. It's a fantastic app that allows you to get all of your favorite podcasts directly on your Android device. I personally use the app and I love it. I can search for the podcast I want to listen to, select it as a favorite, and have it just a click away. Make sure to select Submersion as a favorite so you don't miss any of our new episodes. Again, the app is the Podcast Republic app, available on Android devices.
Episode 82.
Woo!
Woo! There we go. Someone else has to come in because not a normal crew here, although not an infrequent crew.
No, we got the
before,
submersible
right?
crew, yeah.
Yeah, it's our submersible crew.
Yeah, this is
not a submersible pod, so don't worry about that. This is the first movie in the Jamie movie month, where I've chosen all of these movies. You know they're going to be terrible, and everyone can enjoy them. And so this is the first of all those, and boy howdy, did I pick a good one for us to start with. And
you really outdid yourself.
Yes, it was very fun to pick this one and very fun to watch this one. And as a result of me picking it, there's no way this episode could not have on who?
Patrick. Right? That's me?
Oh, wait. Cheerio. Yeah, you're supposed to do your catchraise. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, Cheerios. Yes. Okay. Yes.
There we go.
Yeah.
You got to do your catchphrase, just like Brom, do your catchphrase.
What's up, what's up, what's up? Bitcoin
I always love it.
I love it. Okay,
Great.
Pip Cheerio. Yes, I'm on because I can't help myself. I had to watch this movie, and it's 1:30 in the morning in the UK, which is, and I'm going to ruin my day tomorrow. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm ruining my week right now. So,
perfect.
This is great.
Is there anything else? What's been up with you, Brom? It feels like it's been forever since I talked to you.
Yeah, it has been a while. Just been working, and not a whole lot been going on. Had our high school alumni football game this past weekend.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, our high school.
What position do you play?
Quarterback.
Really?
Wow, really?
Wow.
Yeah, but we're joking here, guys. I wasn't a player. I just went back to watch my high school homecoming game.
Oh, I see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But if I were, I probably could have went out there and played wide receiver.
I was going to say wide receiver.
Okay.
Your voice sounds like that of a wide receiver.
Oh, thank you.
I've never seen you.
What vocal characteristics were you listening for? That
You sound.
You got. So go ahead.
I was going to say he sounds wiry.
I was going to say wiry. I was going to say gritty too. You're real gritty.
Wow.
You got a gritty voice.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
scrappy. You got a scrappy voice. Too.
Possibly a gym rat. Do you go to the gym?
I do not.
Okay.
You got a six pack though.
I used to. I'm working on it. We're gonna bring that puppy back.
Let's do it. New Year's resolutions, all of us. Six packs.
All right.
It's been my New Year's resolution in the last 4 years. So far, hasn't worked. But one of these days, it'll work out.
We'll vlog it on our Submersion website, and you can check in and see weekly results of everybody.
Oh, we'll pod it. We'll vlog it. We'll blog it on badmovietwins.com.
That's badmovietwins.com.
Badmovietwins.com.
I think Kyle's gonna finish in last place in that one.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Zing.
I'm not going to say anything. It's a little zang right there. Like Kyle, who couldn't show up today because he's got a small
baby?
child that he takes, someone he takes care of and loves with all his heart, and it's very nice.
He started a podcast.
It also means, he started a podcast and abandoned it for his baby.
For his baby. Okay. For his child.
It's all right. We'll fill in the gaps here.
Yeah. So anyways, again, without him around, we don't have, markers to do this and that. He's going to insert all these sounds for us, and it's going to be awesome.
What began as an innocent conversation among friends would soon spiral out of control and later be referred to by future generations as the eighth wonder of the modern world. Mac East Studios takes you on the journey of your lifetime as your captains Alex the Mustard Man, the artist formerly known as Brom, Jamie the Ointment, Kyle El Capitan, and Zach the Backbone present Submersion.
Patrick, what movie did we watch this week?
Oh, it's a little movie called Time Under Fire, starring the wonderful Jeff Fahey that everyone knows from The Lawnmower Man. He is, in fact, the Lawnmower Man.
He's the titular Lawnmower Man.
Yes.
And it also stars Bryan Cranston. And I knew going into this that one of the funny facts about this film is that they spelled his name wrong in the credits and stuff. So they spelled his name Brian. I even double checked. He never spelled his name like that. His name is spelled Bryan, but everywhere they spelled his name wrong, which is great. Bryan Cranston was in a lot of these types of movies for a lot of the 90s. He was kind of this actor who had been in Seinfeld and bit parts in a lot of television shows. Oh, yeah. But one of his gigs that he would do would be a lot of these kind of cheap straight to video or TV movies. So I've seen actually a number of films with him in it. One starring like Dudikov and that kind of stuff. Like he was in a Dudikov film, and he's always kind of the best thing in it. You can tell that he's going to be, pretty good as an actor, whereas everyone else is kind of like fumbling all over the place. But it is funny to see him in a lot of those movies. He's just kind of a scrappy working actor. He's a gym rat really of an actor. Yeah. Really got after it. And so, yeah, he's probably the biggest name. Oh, actually, not even probably, definitely the biggest name in this movie.
Jeff
and
Fahey.
It is amusing to see him. Sure. But at the time, Jeff Fahey was certainly on the downswing.
He was cashing those Lawnmower Man royalty checks and making this movie. But I was going to say that Bryan Cranston, at the time, I've watched all of Murder, She Wrote. It's just the thing I did. I've watched every single episode. And
he's an old man, yeah.
And Bryan Cranston is in 3 separate episodes throughout the years. So he was in one in 1986, one in 1990, and one in 1996 as 3 different characters.
I was going to say, did he play different characters? That's funny.
Yeah, all different characters. And he was the murderer, I think, 2 or 3, at least 2 times, maybe the 3rd time as well. You're just sitting there staring at him being like, he seems like he's going to be the murderer. And then he was every single time. And he just has like kind of like character of being like, he seems very nice, but then it turns out he's sinister and mean. Anyways, that's what I remember. When I was watching the episode, I was like, oh my God, Bryan Cranston's in this one. And then like, a year later, I'm like, Bryan Cranston's in another one. It happens a lot. The guy who played, what's his face? The Southern guy from Prison Break was in like 5 episodes and was the murderer every time as well. So It's those kind of character actors. And he was like a character actor at the time. So,
yeah. Yeah, so if the listeners can't tell, because I mean, me and Patrick are twins, and we sound very similar, but he's actually 40 years older than me.
Yeah. So just in my television tastes,
right?
He's actually a 68-year-old old woman.
Yeah, I mean I've also seen all of Midsummer Murder. I watch a lot of murder mystery shows. So
yeah, because you're like, when are you going to watch Matlock? Become the true stereotype.
It depends. I mean, if it was free on Netflix, I probably would have watched it by now. Yes. So.
All right. So we are indeed watching Time Under Fire. Anything to say about Time Under Fire before we launch into this recap? Brom?
Armitage joint.
Very nice. Yeah, that's true. It's one of our faves. Ashok Armitage on badmovietwins.com. That's badmovietwins.com. He actually is the producer on a number of our Hall of Fame films because over the years he releases a shitload of movies straight to video and stuff, but also occasionally releases terrible movies to theaters. So they qualify. This is not one that made it to theaters, if you could not tell. All right. So the year is 1990. We enter on a submarine. Or do we enter on the submarine, or was it already going into kind of like the cops talking to that guy? It was a submarine, right?
It was right into the submarine.
Yep.
Yeah, right into the submarine.
And he's like down bubble, jamming tunes.
He's like 15 degrees down bubble. I'm the captain. Look at my, icy blue eyes. I'm Jeff Fahey. And everyone's like, oh, and we're all Fahey heads and we're loving it. And he's like, great. We're cruising along and everyone's having a pretty grand time. And they're like, where are we? And I was like, Bermuda Triangle. No worries here. Don't even worry about it.
What date was it?
Was it a date?
Oh, exact date, January 10th, 1990, which will come back later because that is a massive mistake considering what they explain about the character later. But go on.
Oh, that's right. Because he couldn't have been in like the particular war or something like that.
Well, they specifically say he got like a Silver Star in 1992, which was after he was already in an insane asylum. So that doesn't really make much sense. But go on.
Yeah. So
very close to the day I was born.
Oh wow!
Wow, were you born in the 90s?
Just in the 90s, yeah.
Oh, disgusting!
90s baby.
Absolutely disgusting.
Get out of here.
So with this first scene on the sub, you said they were in the Bermuda Triangle, and it's funny that it gets like his XO or whatever checks in, says everything's great, Captain says, all right, go get some rest. And then everything's not so great.
Everything immediately descends into chaos.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he runs out and he's like, what's even going on? And they've like lost power. And we see the submarine go through a little time portal. And there's never an explanation for why this is happening. Just the Bermuda Triangle. Even later when they're trying to recreate it, there's no explanation for how or when they're going to go through a portal. But we see the same graphic all the time. The submarine going through a little portal. Yes. It goes out. They've lost power. They're kind of floating around. And they have to try to restore power. They get it up and running. They start moving again. But what's on the effing sonar? And a giant submarine.
Yeah, an enormous one.
Enormous giant submarine. And then we kind of cut away from that portion of it.
Yeah, the opening credits roll. And then we find ourselves in an interrogation room.
And we got a guy there. And almost immediately I'm like, oh, this is the future. Well, this is taking place at the end of the movie.
Are we just gonna gloss over the fact that they have the credits go on for literally like a day,
5,000 hours, and they keep on showing the exact same news articles over and over again.
Yeah, it's Deacon's found incompetent, blah 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 blah, and this all of this also just flies in the face of later on when they explain like, oh, what did you think happened to me? And the wife's like, oh, I don't know, they never told me anything. I'm like, his trial was in all the newspapers. We saw all the newspapers. Like, how didn't you think, like, why wouldn't you be like, excuse me, where's my husband? Like, and they'd be like, oh, he died? Like, I don't understand why she thought he would be dead, because she would have seen in the newspapers him being found incompetent and being sent to the insane asylum.
You're bringing too much logic to this fucking
insane.
We're watching Time Under Fire. We know it's all about time and craziness. So immediately we're in this interrogation room. There's a guy there, and they're talking to him. And I'm like, this is the end of the movie. This person's from the future. And, I basically don't even have to think about what this person's saying. Because they basically go around in circles being like, and what did you know about, like, what's his name? What's his name? Deacons. What do you know about Deacons? What do you know about Deacons? Like, blah, blah, blah. And the guy's like, I don't know. I just met him. And I'm from the year 2070 and blah, blah, blah.
Excuse me.
And he's saying all that shit. 2077.
Yes.
And so then this is all like cut in between seeing more of what happened when they went through the portal. So they slowly piece together what happened after they went through the portal, where they like they're seeing the submarine, they're like attacked, and they get hit by some torpedoes, and everyone's basically dead. Other than him.
By the way, a lot of Crimson Tide CGI again, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah, huge amount. Pretty much everything underwater is from Crimson Tide.
That is some popular footage.
I'm sorry.
I was saying that's some pretty popular footage. It shows up in a lot of the movies we've watched.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The only note I had about the actual like submarine set at this point is that they have so much headroom. They're clearly in like a factory that they retrofitted into the submarine, which is pretty sad.
Well, it is much funnier when they're on the futuristic submarine, because it's supposed to be huge, so they can just get away with it being like this big room. They're like, what do you mean? It's this big submarine. It's like, okay, great. And so the main storyline that's kind of happening with this is that there's a paranormal investigation unit in the government who's finally got authorization to investigate what happened to Deacons. And so they've been told, okay, you can go down and you can investigate the Bermuda Triangle and figure out what happened to this whole submarine. And they're like, well, we got to go talk to Deacons. And so they're like, fine, go to this insane asylum. He's like a government secret. He may as well be like the X-Files. He's put away in this asylum and he can't get out. He can never leave. He's always just like drugged up, and they just leave him there for years and years. And so they go in there and they talk to him a little bit. And he basically is saying like, I don't know anything and blah, blah, blah. And so they come to the conclusion, we need him. We actually need him to help us. So we need to get him out. And they're like, what are you talking about? This is like a top secret government asylum. You're not getting this, you're not getting Lawnmower Man over here, out of here. And he's like, well, let me go talk to my hotshot friend, and I'm gonna get this guy out. So he goes and talks to Bryan Cranston, who seems to be a senator or something like that.
Yes, I believe he is.
He's a senator or something. And basically it's like they're from like the same hometown, or they came up in the government together, and one is obviously veered off to become more of like a government investigator, and the other one is climbing up the ladder and seems to have aspirations for the presidency and stuff. And so he talks to him and he's like, I need this. We need to get him out of there, and we know whatever. And so he's like, okay, fine, just keep it on the down low, but I'll take care of it. And so with the help of Bryan Cranston, they set up a situation in which they free and get Fahey out of the asylum. So they have a couple of like, what would they call them? Like
Navy SEALs.
Yeah, like Navy SEALs.
SEAL team starring Angel from Buffy. What's his name?
Yeah, so it's SEAL Team 6, blah, 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 whatever. Bust in there. There was a really funny part here of like, they clearly didn't know how to move the camera for people to run. So whenever anyone was running, they looked like they were like bouncing and like almost like running as slow as they could possibly go.
Yeah.
And so they're like running after them, blah, blah, blah. And the SEAL team is like karate chopping people on necks all day long, like no big deal. And they get Fahey out of there. Fahey also kind of shows his stuff here. Like he's not just like a nobody. He's basically also karate chopping necks. And this Navy SEALs are like, oh man, look at this guy. Look at this lawnmower man over here. Woo. Yeah. And so they get out of there and they don't want to take any guff from these guys. He's like, I don't have to follow this lawnmower man around. Like, I'm my own man and this is bullshit, but whatever. But like the head of the research organization, I guess his name was Lance McCurdy.
Yeah, I was going to mention. So that guy, did you recognize him, by the way?
He was from Heroes.
Yeah, he's the bespectacled man from Heroes, and then also where they take him at this point is the same. Did you notice it's the same set as Biodome?
It's Biodome, yeah.
Yeah, it is literally the Biodome set, which is some water cleaning plant outside of Los Angeles.
Yeah, and it's used in all kinds of stuff. I remember seeing it in Alias. It was a stand-in for a German computer chip company. And what was the other one? There was another one where it was there, and it's always funny when you see it because then it gets you going down the road of you can go on IMDb and click on the location, and it'll tell you all the movies that it's been in. There's like a shitload of them.
Yes,
it's great. It's so funny to see it.
The Biodome, though.
But anyways,
it's just killer. Go on.
And so, anyways, they're kind of waiting for this expedition to start. The main researcher guy gives Fahey the control. He's going to be the captain, and so like, okay, he's kind of got control. And there's the woman who's kind of the assistant feels really bad for him. She's like, oh, I thought you were married, weren't you? And he's like, yeah. I was like, well, where's your wife? Does she know you're alive? And he's like, no, I've been in this asylum forever. They probably just told her I was dead. And she's like, oh, okay. So she like kind of, Googles, or I guess not Googles at this point, probably asks Jeeves where this lady is, finds her, and is like, by the way, here's like the address if you want. And so they're having like, this is where like the SEALs are kind of like harumphing and grumbling about having to follow this guy around while they wait for the mission to start. And he goes and like talks to his wife, and the wife is like, oh man, honey, like I can't believe you're still alive. I really can't believe it. And, they didn't tell me anything about this. And why don't we just bone right now? And so they do.
Yeah, it was a history of violence. It was like 69ing all over the place. It was crazy.
Oh yeah, straight up, full porno. Actually, we shouldn't even make jokes about this because we actually do watch terrible movies that are mostly just pornos.
Yeah, this is
At
true.
this point, for badmovietwins.com, most of the bad movies we do are actually porno, so people are going to think this is a porno.
Yeah, actually, there's just like one like musical note or whatever on like a harp, and then they're done. Like it's like jumps
and then they
ahead.
wake up the next morning, and he's like getting out of bed.
I was convinced that they had a body double for the actors, and they may have for some of it, but she definitely is like topless at one point, and I was actually pretty stunned. Like, it's not that surprising when they get, I don't know what you describe, not really necessarily young actresses, but actresses who aren't in very many movies, to do something like this, which is like, and now you have your sex scene with Jeff Fahey, and it's like, I would just assume you'd get a body double like most of the time.
Oh, so this was edited for the YouTube version that we watched.
I was actually going to say I did not get to see this. Where did you watch it on Amazon?
Amazon Prime, yeah.
Well, that makes a lot of sense then, because it was such an awkward cut. Again, there's literally like in our version, there was like
it was pretty long. I have to say, like you said, it was like 1 second, like a little harp thing, and then one note. I was like, no, I remember it being pretty long, actually.
You know what, guys? Let's stop this podcast. I got a little bit of research to do.
Gotta put your glasses on.
I gotta find my glasses. I'm not sure where they are, but I gotta find them.
I can assure you that they did not actually 69. That was just a joke about history of violence. Go on.
Right. That wasn't History of Violence. I don't even remember. I need to watch History of Violence.
Playing. She dressed up as a cheerleader.
Yeah.
So anyways, the expedition starts. We got Deakins, we got McCarty, we got Marjorie, who's the assistant. We got Schmidt, Cole, and Hawks, which are the military people. And they keep on grumbling, kind of doing a bunch of stuff. But anyways, they go off into, it is really funny with the cars and stuff like that, where they like climb into these random, almost like sedans, and just like drive over to like, we're going to the submarine, and they get into like these, just like a regular car, like I'd drive up to you to pick you up, and they get into the submarine, and they're kind of just like we're definitely going to be able to find this with your help. But they keep on doing the exact same course that they did before, and nothing's happening. And so they're getting a little frustrated. They're like, I don't understand. Like, why isn't this working? And then how do they figure it out, Patrick?
I don't remember.
They don't really figure it out. They just, one of the times that they go through it, they go through the portal.
They just happen to go through the portal.
They do not explain it.
You tricked me, but yes, that is what exactly what happens. That is what I recalled in my brain. That I'm racking my brain, trying to remember what happened in this film.
Yep. And so they are finally able to enter the portal. They cross over, and then they are immediately attacked by a giant submarine.
Again.
And they are taken on board.
Mm-hmm.
What are they? Are they tractor beamed in or something? Or they're boarded and just taken off?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Or something like that? Yeah. And so they end up on there. We got the leader of the force, Coda,
great actress,
which was
great actor.
Patrick's being, again, no 169, and Coda was not a good actor.
No, he was not.
Yeah, he was doing some kind of weird thing with his voice, almost like I guess he was pretending to be like an alien. Is that right?
He's just talking like robot? This. I'm going to talk like this, like I'm a big general.
That's basically what he's saying.
Yeah, it was so weird. It was like it was like a 12-year-old was acting, and they're like, act like a general. It's like,
I'm a general. I do it like this.
I was going to make a joke.
That was also pretty good.
Yeah, I was going to say he actually is my acting coach. So that is actually how I act when I go on stage in the UK. That's why I moved here, was to really get the theater experience from this guy Coda.
Yeah. So, anyways, they all get up into lockup, and Deakins is taken away to kind of talk to Coda. He's because something's going on. They keep on thinking he's a certain person. They keep on saying like Deakins. And assuming that he's like this big, important person. There's also another random person, the guy that we keep on seeing in the interrogation. He just like shows up in lockup as well. He's just like thrown into the jail with all of them, right?
Yes. This is the point when they find him like lurking on board or something. He was like hidden on board, and they just kind of like get him. Yeah, that's right.
And so anyways, they're really interested in Deakins for some reason. This guy Spitz, who's like been creeping around, explains they're in 2077, and Deakins is like a very important person. Like at least someone who looks very similar to Deakins is a very important person.
Yeah, we'll get to that. The very similar.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, and then it's ruled by a dictatorship led by the guy's friend, who was the senator, Charles Braddock, which already begs like a crazy amount of questions, because this would be 80 years later.
Yes.
And we'll see how that is explained.
Yes.
And it's good.
I was sitting there being like, they screwed up the timeline again? Are they going to try to make it pretend like Bryan Cranston is not 130 years old like at this point? Yeah. But no, they go for it.
So then there's a really, how do you even delicately talk about the next portion of it? There's a whole section here where one of the guards sexually assaults Marjorie. And they keep on going back. They have a very long sequence of them kind of going back and forth and being like, don't you do that. And the guy being like, oh, I'm going to do it. And then everyone being like, you better stop him from doing that. And then the guy, Coda, being like, he's not going to do that. And the guy being like, oh, I am. And then he does. And you're like, wait, what? Oh my God. Yeah. Like, that's terrible.
I was reflecting on this. I don't know. Is it just smaller films, or was it just like this like weird period of the 90s? But it's like, nowadays, I feel like they would have pulled the punch. They would have been like, he'll get her in the room, but they'll stop him right before he like actually like rapes her. And then, but it's like pretty clear that he just actually rapes her. And you're just like,
yes, he does.
What movie am I watching? Wait a minute. Is this like a hard drama? It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And they don't really acknowledge it later.
They never acknowledge it. At all. No, she never acknowledges it. They never really discuss it.
The only thing it does, I don't know what do you think the purpose of it is? Do you think the purpose is to make Coda out to be a little bit of a better character? Because he clearly does not want this to happen. He's like, my underling will not do this.
No, I think it's...
And then he even kills the guy, right? Doesn't he kill the guy? Or no, never mind. Faye, he kills him.
Faye, he snaps his neck.
Oh, yeah. Just straight up snaps his neck.
Which is why it didn't make sense to me, because she very clearly got raped, and it's like, they're setting this guy up to maybe... do a mutiny or something later and become like the true villain of the show. No, Fahey just walks over and just snaps the guy's neck immediately.
Yeah, I guess it's supposed to be showing how Fahey, our hero, his kind of how he operates and his moral compass and what he's willing to do to like protect those around him and under his like leadership and stuff like that.
I think that's part of it.
I guess I think it's supposed to boost his character.
I think it's supposed to also, and this is just like, again, I think it was just indicative of the time and also possibly of the fact that it's like just written by a dude.
Probably, yeah.
I think it was literally just supposed to draw the Fahey and the woman together, like draw a line between them.
Oh, yeah, that's good idea.
Draw on later after spoilies, his wife dies.
Spoiler alert, yeah. Right.
You're supposed to know that connection, that more intimate connection between them.
Yeah, I guess that's true, because we also have it where Marjorie, clearly she has a line between, she likes him and respects him.
Yes.
But there's a line drawn where she helps him find his wife.
Yeah.
Because clearly she's like feeling bad for, and so like this has continued to draw them together for that ultimate final thing.
Yeah, the payoff at the end. But it's like a demented way to do it. You could pull the punch and still get exactly the same thing. You could easily,
I was shocked they didn't pull that punch.
Yeah, crazy.
Because honestly, they should have.
Yeah, it was upsetting.
That's crazy to have.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Anyways, go on.
So anyways, they're being escorted to like the main facility of this rebellion. And we'll get to like the geography of this world later, because it's nuts. But Spitz helps them kind of break free. So a few of them get away. Spitz, Deakins, Marjorie, and they say Hawks. Oh yeah, one of the army people. Yeah. And so they kind of travel elsewhere. So a bunch of them are still stuck in prison with our Emperor Palpatine. Braddock is basically Emperor Palpatine. I mean, he is Emperor Palpatine.
Oh, yeah.
He's got Emperor Palpatine, and I got to say, of all the things in
with
this,
a Southern
Cranston, Cranston acting in a perfectly reasonable way, good Southern accent, whatever. The makeup on him was absurd in almost like a good way. Like the rest of the movie is so bad, and then you look at his makeup, you're just like, it's not the worst, and it's really extensive, like really, really extensive.
Yeah,
and it's the only thing in the movie where you're looking at being like, Jesus, that must have been hard. And he must have sat in getting makeup, like hours and hours a day for Time Under Fire? Oh, my God. Like everyone else is just showing up. And you see Fahey later when we meet his like grandson or whatever. And they must have been like, he's like, yeah. So anyways, they're all stuck with Emperor Palpatine and Coda over there, in prison. The rest of them are off to the rebel base. Now, Emperor Palpatine lives in his little Dominion, which is like a gas plant, seemingly a factory of some sort. Literally like a mile away is the rebel camp. This is the entire world is a dystopia, and Emperor Palpatine lives there, and then a mile away the rebels are over here.
Yeah, so
the only reason, apparently the explanation is, the only reason that Emperor Palpatine does not destroy them is because they claim that the factory that they're living in is functioning, so he doesn't want to destroy the gas over there. It's like, this doesn't make, what the fuck are you talking about? He owns the world, and he's just not going to invade your stupid little factory over there?
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah, so this is also, I don't know, did they explain the history of the world, or have we not got to that part yet? This is where they explained it.
Yeah.
So basically, he had become vice president, and then soon after he became vice president, the president dies under like mysterious circumstances.
Ooh.
And he becomes president. And it's kind of indicated that he killed the president and became president. And then he gets into this whole weird, like, it's like even his speeches are like very strange. He has like weird like snafu with the Middle East. And then Iraq.
Classic.
Was it Iraq? That
I actually can't recall.
Some country that definitely does not have nuclear weapons blasts us with like 20 nuclear weapons. And
it was Iraq, because I remember them saying, and then Iraq launched their nuclear weapons and destroyed like Washington D.C. or something, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. So
we're not going to reach Washington D.C.
So
with a nuclear weapon from Iraq.
In this alternate universe, Iraq not only had a nuclear weapon, but a very, very effective intercontinental ballistic missile to deliver this payload to multiple U.S. cities that get past all of our defenses. Anyways, that triggers all of our like defenses and destroys the world.
You know what? I bet the implication. Do you think the implication is perhaps that Braddock did it himself? That it wasn't ever Iraq?
Plausible. I mean, plausible. Given everything we like learn later on about him, about how he basically is just trying to like perfect cloning and like create an army for himself and stuff like that. All the way back to like in the 90s, he was doing this. So
yeah, it would be funny if that was the case, where it was like a false flag or whatever. But like the rebels are still like, hey, we're not sure, so we better teach the history how it kind of
just buying into Braddock's propaganda.
Iraq definitely launched missiles and hit San Francisco. It's like, what?
Are you sure about that? Doesn't make any sense. They couldn't possibly do. Anyways, the CFCs. This is the point when they also explain like the world's really hot because of CFCs, which I was sitting there being like, are they going for a global warming thing like here? This is gonna be like way ahead of its time. But they never really ever addressed the fact that the world was really, really warm instead of cold. Like you'd think after, like, I guess after a nuclear winter, it would have cleared up maybe by then. But still,
I don't know.
It wouldn't have been warm. Like we're not producing any CO2. Like it would actually, I think, be much more, like much better. Whatever. Anyways, this is like the history of the world. Anyways.
Yeah. So anyways, they also meet at this point Deacon's grandson. Now, Wikipedia claims it's his son. It's his grandson. They make that actually fairly clear. And the guy, obviously played by Fahey as well, but looks just like him, except basically like Snake Plissken. He's got like a terrible long wig on and an eye patch and some earrings. You're like,
he has the sweet earrings.
Okay.
Yeah,
he's got some sweet earrings. And basically it's like, okay, what's the plan? And they're like, you gotta jet, dudes. Like the fact is that Braddock is going to realize that you are from the past, and if he kills you, I won't ever exist. Timeline will be changed, and all his problems will go away because I'm like the man, and everyone like loves me, whatever. And they're like, but also you need to bring back like a chip because they have an entire army of cyborgs, and they make clear half man, half robot. And I was like, thank God they got the definition right. I was waiting for them to talk about cyborgs as being robots, and I'd be like, come on. Everyone knows a cyborg is half man, half robot. And everyone knows a half cyborg is 1/4 man and 3/4 robot. So come on. Right?
Yes.
No, sorry. 3/4 man, 1/4 robot.
Okay.
Sorry, I got that wrong.
We got it right. We got it. We got there. It's fine.
Yeah. So anyways, they need to recover the chip that made that all possible, because then you can go back in time. I'm not even sure actually why they necessarily want the chip in the first place. I guess to show them how not to do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems a little bit crazy that you even take it back in time.
It's to set up the betrayal, basically. That's all it is. Maybe.
And they're also gonna set a bomb in Emperor Palpatine's.
Maybe they're trying to help the rebels in the future, in the alternate timeline. Like they're taking it back. They're stealing it basically from Braddock, and they're just taking it back to where Braddock cannot get it, which is in the past. And then they're going to destroy it there. But then the SEAL team doesn't. Anyways.
I don't know. It seems like a terrible idea, because then all it means is that the chip exists earlier to make more cyborgs.
That's true.
But anyways, which is exactly what happens. Spoiler alert.
Terminator 2
so anyways,
but go on.
Yeah. So they infiltrate the base. They go in. They're recovering the chips. There's a great sequence where they kind of like bust into this room and are like, where's the chip? And there's like a scientist being like, hey, hold on. And he like pressed a little button to like wake up a cyborg. And all of a sudden a bunch of like a naked dude's like running around, like punching him like a cyborg. And then they just like shoot him like a regular whatever. And he just like falls over. I'm like, oh, so he's just like, I guess it's just the idea that you make more of them, but they also have to be like half human. So I don't know. It seemed crazy. But anyways, apparently these things can be made like no big deal really quickly, as we'll see later. So anyways, they get the chip. They plant a bomb. Emperor Palpatine. This is a real weird part too, because they set this bomb to go off. It goes off. Braddock's fine. Like he just like he basically sitting there like, eh, shit. But like nothing actually happened when they blew up his lair. He like set a bomb next to his chair. It blows up and then he's okay.
Oh, he had a shimmery shield set up.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even see any of that. So anyways, as they're trying to escape, deacons, the younger deacons.
Yeah.
I'm getting confused myself. Anyways, the grandson, he gets caught. They are leaving. They're going to head to the submarine, but he gets caught, and he's like lamenting the loss of his like grandson. He's like, I can't believe we lost him. And it's like, okay, well, we got to leave him behind. It's more important that you survive so that he can live in the future.
Question.
We are going to change the time. We're taking the chip, so we're definitely changing it. You know, Braddock is a bad guy. So we're changing the timeline anyways, so things will be different. So don't worry about him.
Question, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Were you sad that you didn't get the scene where future Deacons is yelling at his grandfather, always remember me? Like, always remember this weird dystopian future version of your grandson that will never exist forever and ever.
Yes, I do. I wanted him to try to slide under like the garage and get trapped halfway underneath. And be like,
Awful.
remember me. Yeah. For people who don't know, that's a joke about Lost in Space, the movie based on the TV show, where there's a future version of the guy's son who is he's friends with a spider monster, and he helps them stop this spider monster, but as a result, he's gonna die. And he yells as he's being crushed in this time warp, "Remember me!" And I'm just like, "You don't even exist anymore, man!"
You'll never exist. And also,
his son never. His son, they prevented his son from becoming friends with the spider monster, so they don't have to worry. He never exists. That version of his son never existed.
Yeah, I wasn't going to explain the joke. I was going to let the big Lost in Space fans, really get it.
Right? Yeah, the Lost in Space heads out there who definitely understood what that joke was.
But I'm sure the 5-minute explanation of it was very worthwhile to everyone else. Anyways.
Kyle can edit it out if he wants to.
Yes.
I don't mind.
At this point, we then go on a wild ride through the streets. And and this was a point in which I was very proud of myself because I was watching this and I was thinking to myself, these explosions are very large and impressive for a movie of this stature. And then eventually got to the point where I said, all right, so these explosions were not made for this movie. There is 0% chance that this movie starring Jeff Fahey has this many quality explosions. So I started looking closer and closer, being like, okay, I see how they did it. They had a different movie where they were driving through the streets and they just put the same front to the car whenever they had to go inside the car. And they never showed them going in or out. And then all of a sudden, right at the end, they drive on up to what is very clearly the Hammerhead Club from the Pamela Anderson feature film Barbed Wire, which we watched for Bad Movies once. And I was like, holy shit, that's the Hammerhead Club from Barbed Wire. Out of nowhere, I just remembered this from 5 years ago when I watched this film for the only time in my life. So yeah, that was all stock, all borrowed footage from Barbed Wire.
And all of that, you'll get to see my trivia. It was used again in a later film.
Oh, now I'm very excited for the trivia. Let's go.
Yeah. All right. So anyways, they get to the submarine. They start going away. Obviously, at this point, Braddock's about to, or Deakins is about to take out his dick. But then his grandson comes in, and he's like, "Well, now I'm a little confused. Who should take out their dick? It's weird because you're future grandson me. We look exactly the same. You've got a sweet eye patch, so maybe you should take out your dick." But they have a little argument here, and they're patting each other on the back. But then one of the guys, the Spitz, is like, "I don't trust this guy," or something like that.
I think he saw him start to mutate or whatever.
He saw something. He saw something odd, and so Deakins is like, "This guy is a bad guy," and punches the guy out. And then everyone's sitting there being like, "Oh man, I can't believe Spitz was a bad guy," right? Everyone was convinced. They were like, "Oh my god, obviously Spitz is a bad guy. Deakins' son or grandson is a good guy." But then Deakins out of nowhere shoots his grandson, and everyone's like, "Ah!" And he's like, "How did you know?" Because you can see that he was a cyborg. He's got green goo spurting out of his the hole in his chest. "How did you know?" And he's like, "Look at his hand." And so when he punched him, he peeled all that skin off his hand, and it was like a robot hand. That's probably a flaw. Yeah, probably a flaw. You can see that. You can see his robot hand, like a Terminator. So anyways, they kill that guy. They launch. Coda's following them in the giant submarine. He's being a terrible captain. Basically, everyone's like, we should not shoot our torpedoes right now. And Coda's like, shoot them. And then they're going around, and so Coda shoots off his torpedoes. Seeing the opportunity, Deakins kind of spins around, shoots off his own torpedoes, 4 of them. He explodes 2 of them to explode both of Coda's torpedoes. And then the next 2 go, and Coda's like, "No, remember me!" And then his submarine explodes.
Yeah.
And they go through the time warp back to the present day. And everyone's like, "Oh, phew, thank God this movie's over. Oh man, this explanation's really taking a long time." And it's like, no, not so fast, because there's even more explanation that needs to happen. Because now they're back in the regular time, and they are like, "What are we going to do? We got to confront Braddock." And the head researcher's like, I've known this guy like my entire life. I can talk to him. Let me talk to him. Meanwhile, one of the Navy SEALs is gone, and he's got to deal with Braddock. And he's like, yo, I got this chip. I know about that cyborg technology that you just can't figure out, Braddock. I got a chip for you. And he's like, great. And so this is all happening kind of in the meantime. So when the researcher goes and meets Braddock, he's up in his office, and he's like, you can't do this, man. And Braddock's like, I got to do it, man. Get out of here. And so then he's like, I got a gun. And he shoots Braddock, and Braddock that he thought was Braddock is not Braddock at all. He's cyborg Braddock, and he's got like stuff shooting out of him. And Braddock's there instead. He's got I got a gun. And so he's now going to take, what are you going to do? Does he shoot him? I can't even remember what happened.
They get into like, they go into like, he just like grabs the gun really quickly. It's like the dumbest move in the world. The one guy just grabs the gun, and then they kind of get into a scuffle, and it flies out of the guy's hands. And
why doesn't he kill the researcher?
He tries to. They get into like a weird little scuffle that doesn't really make any sense. He basically like takes Braddock by surprise, and then they both get disarmed, and then he grabs the gun and just kind of like shoots into the room and then runs away, but doesn't kill him.
Yeah, that's right. And then he's been, and the other guy, the researcher, tries to call Fahey, who's just like chilling with his wife, to be like, by the way, like, be prepared. There's people going to be after you because Braddock knows. And so the Navy SEAL who sold the chip comes along and starts attacking the house and going after Fahey and his wife. And they go through all remember they go up to the bedroom, shootout occurs. The wife dies. And everyone's like, that's the end of that. End of the timeline. Nothing's fucking working. At the same time, the researcher is able to corner Braddock in an elevator and shoot him. So we actually see Braddock dead. Braddock is dead. Navy SEAL is dead. But Deacon's wife is dead too. So the timeline's over. Things are bad. But what was it? Spitz, I think, is the one who says it, where they're like, oh man, it's so bad. Like, we can't believe it. Like, the timeline's been all screwed up. And Spitz is like, well, what are you talking about? It's like, well, his wife died. Like, Deacon's grandson won't ever be born. Like, that's bad. And Spitz is like, hey, what? No, that's not his grandma. That's his grandma. And it's Marjorie and Fahey. And they're already basically like making out by the ambulance.
Yeah.
And then they have like a little cutscene at the end, a little like bum, 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 when they show that whole interrogation scene that they keep on cutting back to is happening. And Spitz is realizing that things are going like pretty badly, and he doesn't really understand why. And then we see behind the glass, and oh shit, Braddock is there, and he's a cyborg.
He's a robot. It's great.
Oh, what?
He's a robot.
He's not a robot.
He has red eyes. His eyes shine red at the end of it.
He is a cyborg, Patrick.
Oh, fine. Good point. He's half robot. He's at least 50% robot.
Yes, at least.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the end of the movie.
Great movie.
Oh, great movie. Good movie.
Great movie. So I guess ratings?
Yes.
Any other comments or concerns about the film before we get to ratings?
Yeah. Brom, do you have any more comments or concerns?
Nope. Let's get into it.
Cool. Let's get into it. Okay.
Should we start with Kyle? He sent me his review.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. He said, I do not want to have watched this movie in vain. Time Under Fire tries to be too many things, and none of it is working. You get elements of Snake Plissken with Deacon's grandson, Star Wars with Bryan Cranston, and his skin looking like a frozen scrotum, and some kind of network cop show bullshit with flashes to an interrogation room. Perhaps the allure of the Bermuda Triangle was in its prime in the 90s, but is that what people really want? Time travel in a sub to 2077 to see a nuclear war started with Iraq and man creating cyborg clones of himself. Sounds like it should be great, but wow. All in all, this movie is nearly impossible to follow and just plain sucks. This movie is not worth the bandwidth you used to watch it for free and deserves a solid 1. Now, just to be clear, again, Kyle did not get the Amazon version where you see breasts.
Yes.
So he gave it a 1, yeah. Mm-hmm. He'd at least give it a 2 for the breasts, probably.
That makes sense.
One would assume.
Yeah. Shall I go?
Mm-hmm.
Besides the fact that I was very proud of myself for being able to somehow recognize like multiple other movie scenes within this movie, including Biodome and Barbed Wire, both classics, obviously. The movie itself is a complete like catastrophic mess. Not only like they clearly made a bunch of it in separate, like much different like parts, and then they just like stitched them all together. So they must have initially had this idea of like, oh, he was decorating the Iraq War, or blah blah blah. This has something to do with Iraq, and that was all kind of like stitched together. Despite the fact that later on they decide, okay, he needs to have been in the asylum for like 6 years so that we can have the sex scene with this lady that we just hired, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The whole thing seems like everyone, like no one was around. Like it's just how you make these like crap movies in the 90s. Like no one's around the same time. You're just kind of stitching together like a shitty script, et cetera, et cetera. Regardless, like I personally enjoyed watching this weirdo movie because it just absolutely goes off the rails by the end of it. But indeed, it is like not good. I would give it a 1, but I did get the full sex scenes. So I'm going to I don't give it a full 1 like Kyle because I'm not a creep. I give it a 1.2, 0.1 for each breast that I saw. Because I saw two of them. I saw 2 of them.
Yeah. It's not creepy at all. Creepy at all.
No, not creepy at all. Go on.
I'm gonna go next. I also feel like this was, and just for full clarity, like I watch these types of movies quite frequently. Like the fact is I think I may have watched whatever that Dudikoff one you mentioned was, but I watch Dolph Lundgren and Dudikoff films pretty regularly as like background for exercising. In the winter, I'll be watching a lot of them this winter, probably. And they are mostly kind of like military and kind of you just like playing up some aspect of it that they know a certain subset of the population is going to be interested in. So like fighter jets, cool. Space shuttle, cool. A stealth fighter plane, cool. Air Force One, cool. Like something that they can kind of latch onto and be like, cool. So I had assumed this was going to be like a regular submarine thriller, almost like the Dudikoff ones, where the main aspect of it is cool, a submarine. When it started going off the rails, I was pretty excited because Snake Plissken shows up, and I was like, this can't be real. I can't even believe this is happening right now. And I was overjoyed because otherwise it could have just been a boring, like whatever film that meandered along. Instead, it got nuts, like really, really fucking crazy. And I don't know. I enjoy when at least it's kind of like that rather than boring. So I'm going to come in at like, I never do in-betweens. I either got to do a 2 or a 2.5.
Big decision.
It's really hard. It's hard. I'm going to give it a 2.
Oh, good. I was going to actually just eviscerate you if you did 2.5, but go on.
No, I'm going to do a 2. The breasts, jury's out. I got to watch that one version of it. And we'll find out if that's a 2.5.
Yeah, you might end up closer to a 2.5 in the end.
Yeah. Impossible to say. All right, Brom, what do you think?
Well, what can I say, guys? I really enjoyed the premise of this movie. We hadn't seen anything like this with submarine time traveling.
Yeah, what season is time travel, by the way?
I don't know. I don't think we've decided that one yet.
Oh, well, okay.
I loved how the opening credits sort of served as the exposition for the whole film. The Bryan Cranston was electric with his southern accent, also something we've never encountered before. There was a tastefully done scene that tackled the very difficult topic of rape. I thought they handled that admirably.
I'm happy with my 2. I have to go lower.
No, this movie was obviously a trash movie. I think it did veer at times into so bad it was enjoyable and hilarious. Emperor Palpatine.
Certainly for this type of movie, I would say that's the case.
Yes.
Because as I said, like I was just watching a Dolph Lundgren film called Pentathlon, where he's a, spoiler alert, a pentathlon athlete who kind of like jumps from the Soviet Union to the United States. And it's usually they're just kind of boring, and the big thing is just kind of like playing up a certain aspect of it. This was not the case. This is not definitely 100% not just a submarine movie.
If it was as well made, we just watched Fallout with Daniel Baldwin. We don't have to get into it at all. If it was as well made as Fallout, I would actually say this was like an entertaining movie. If the like sci-fi parts of it were as well made as they needed to be, like it would actually be like a fairly entertaining, off the walls movie. It just looks like garbage the entire time, and it's just a bunch of stock footage.
It looks like a joke. Yeah. It looks like a joke.
Yeah, top to bottom, the big they made huge mistakes, like you mentioned, Patrick, with the newspaper articles, and then then trying to explain that his wife had no idea where he was and thought he was dead. But then down even to the small details. I mean, you're supposed to be like 100 years in the future, and they're running around with super soakers that are spray painted black and MP5s and all this stuff. And it just was ridiculous throughout. If there was one scene that I thought kind of looked okay for the time, it was probably the escape scene when they're driving through the sort of Mad Max style, California or whatever.
That's not from
Barbed Wire.
That's from Barbed Wire.
Wait, all those scenes and stuff were.
That was Barbed Wire.
If they're driving in a car, it was all a different movie. Yeah, a much more like a much bigger budget movie. Yeah,
I missed that. Sorry, I was wrapping up my top 5 countdown for the night.
Absolutely worthwhile. But yes, that was all Barbed Wire.
So that just adds to the mystique and aura of the film for me.
It actually is true.
Yeah, pretty much everything good about it was like from a different movie.
Yeah,
so like
very derivative.
Like you could imagine someone being like,
Emperor Palpatine was from the Star Wars.
Right. It's just like cutting out from Star Wars.
Yeah.
So man,
honestly,
that would have made it better.
Given this like a 0.5 is totally fair. It was that bad, but from an enjoyment level, it was so bad that I'm going to give it a 2.5.
Oh shit!
Wow,
Patrick, you got to do it. You said you were going to eviscerate me.
No, I'm fine with Brom. I would have made fun of you for like not even seeing the sex scene.
I'm giving it a 2.5. On a production quality standpoint, it was just as bad as Stinger. But this was just way more enjoyable.
Guys,
it's impossible. I've seen clips of Stinger.
I think we just acknowledged the only things that looked good in this was stuff that they pulled from other movies. So I mean,
way better than Stinger. Have you seen Stinger?
Didn't have
never seen Stinger.
No, I didn't see it. I didn't see it. No,
I'm asking Brom. You saw Stinger?
Yes.
You're forgetting. Your brain has let it.
That's because Stinger didn't have the opportunity to steal clips from other movies. Otherwise, it would have had scenes that looked serviceable as well. The only thing in this movie that they did clearly and did well was the makeup on Bryan Cranston.
Oh, sorry.
Fahey and the sex scene, obviously.
Yeah, Fahey's costume. Mistake plus gun. All right, so I think that more or less sums up our recaps. Our ratings. So let's get a little trivia. It is not very extensive. I did try to delve into the Google Books, see if anyone's written about this film. I had hoped that Bryan Cranston has had an interview where he acknowledged this movie. Sometimes it happens where they'll like some interviewer will find it funny that they're going to ask about it, and Bryan Cranston would be like, "Oh yeah, okay, let me talk about this." But not the case. He's never talked about this as far as I can tell on the internet. So that's too bad. Anyways, a bunch of these we already know about. Underwater scenes reused from Crimson Tide. The company does that actually frequently. So we've heard that a bunch of times. So the footage that they were able to obtain from Crimson Tide, which is a lot of extra stuff, kind of basically they asked the company, hey, do you have any extra stuff you filmed for Crimson Tide that we could use? And they just gave it to him. And then they used it in like 5 films or something like that. The car chase scene was reused from the Pam Anderson classic Barbed Wire. Now, this is funny. Brom, do you know anything about Barbed Wire?
It's a Pam Anderson film.
Yep, and it is a remake of what classic film?
Oh. Mad Max.
Nope. Patrick?
It's a remake of Casablanca.
Casablanca. Yeah, so it's like Casablanca. It's basically the same storyline as Casablanca, set in the future with Pamela Anderson. What could go wrong? And Patrick, as he said, independently recognized that these are from Barbed Wire, although IMDb does have that listed under connections. Thank God. You don't want IMDb to miss something like that. We'd have to go in and change it if it wasn't there. Portions of the film, which mostly, from what I could tell, was the chase scene, was subsequently edited into the 2000 film Nautilus, also a submarine film. Put it on the board.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I guess they must almost have the same storyline for Nautilus because they also have a car chase scene.
Yeah.
So this had another name. A lot of the places that talk about it actually refer to it as Beneath the Bermuda Triangle. That was the original name for it. Time Under Fire is the later release name. I think the video release name or something.
Time Under Fire is a way better name.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what does it really mean?
It means that time that they were under
Time
fire.
itself is under fire.
Nice. Yeah, now I get it. So anyways, this film puts time under fire, as we've been saying. It's not the only thing that's gone under fire in the history of TV and film. What stars of these other famous under fire productions would have done well here? Okay. So Toni Braxton, R&B superstar, was in a film called Faith Under Fire, which was about her faith being under fire. Toni Braxton. Marjorie?
I do not recall what she looks like, but I guess Marjorie.
I don't know. Who's to know what Toni Braxton looks like? Scientists contend we may never know.
Yeah, Marjorie. Why not?
Is she African American?
I believe so.
I find this immaterial to the discussion.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to remember who Toni Braxton is. I think I know who
still
it
don't
is.
I
recall.
believe she's an R&B singer. I believe.
How about one of the SEAL Team 6s?
Oh, I
That
like
would be
that.
good.
Why not? I like that.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? All right.
And then, okay. What about Dean Cain? Now, he was in a film also called Faith Under Fire. Different film, but also called Faith Under Fire, where his faith is under fire. I believe he's a fireman in that one.
Nice. Dean Cain.
Yeah.
What would I know Dean Cain from?
Well, he was Superman. He was also in one of our absolute favorite, top-of-the-line submarine films. I'm actually forgetting the name of it.
Deep Descent, Dark Descent.
Dark Descent.
my
It was a funny movie. I like that one a lot.
shit.
Your pilot shit.
Main character.
That was the one also where
Yeah,
they
he's gonna be our
kept on.
Fahey.
No, not
Yeah.
Faye. Actually, no. How about Kodo?
No, I wanted to be a good guy.
wanted to
What
be a
about
good guy,
Spitz?
Okay. Yeah, Spitz.
Yeah, Spitz would work.
Spitz from the future? Okay, what about Dylan and Cole Sprouse? Now, they were twins. You may know them as
Big Daddy.
child actors. Yeah. They were in the TV show Grace Under Fire. And I know everyone's sitting there being like, Grace Under Fire? Why aren't you doing Brett Butler? The main character, whatever. Cole and Dylan Sprouse are twins.
Oh, this would be
so I choose to
great.
do
They
that.
could be the Faheys, the
Yeah.
Yeah.
young Fahey
Oh,
and
shit.
grandson Fahey.
That's good.
They could actually interact with each other.
Now they're old enough. Yeah.
Very nice.
And then what about Denzel Washington? And let's throw in Meg Ryan as well, because Courage Under Fire.
Ooh, nice.
what about
main
Main
Denzel?
character and the wife,
No.
the long lost wife. So they're gonna have a sex scene.
No.
Denzel. Give me Denzel as Emperor Palpatine.
I love that. I love it.
Whoa.
I
You're thinking
actually
outside the
really
box
like it.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
He'd be sweet as a senator and then the main bad guy.
See, I
That'd be
don't know, though,
awesome.
because if you think about Denzel as the main character, Meg Ryan as Marjorie, or the wife, but I would say Marjorie, and we could add another sex scene in there. Patrick, don't worry about it.
Okay.
The next one could be a pretty good Emperor Palpatine. What are we thinking about Ed Harris? Now, he was in a movie called Under Fire. So nothing really, it's just like Under Fire, right? And that was about 3 journalists in a romantic love triangle.
You don't want him to be
involved
Kodo?
in-
Though?
Who, Ed Harris?
Yeah.
Kodo was an idiot. Ed Harris is not.
But he wouldn't be an idiot.
Okay.
That's- Whatever. Go
Yeah,
on.
he could elevate the
So
character.
Kodo wins. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. He destroys
Oh,
Braddock.
interesting.
But go on. Make up your fake movie. Starring Ed
The
Harris.
3 journalists in a romantic love triangle are involved in political intrigue during the last days of the corrupt Somozoa regime in Nicaragua before it falls to a popular revolution in 1979. And then if that sounds real, it's because it is. He was in a movie called Under Fire.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That actually
It
works for
stars Gene Hackman and Nick Nolte. And it was directed by the Tomorrow Never Dies director, or more popularly, the Stop or My Mom Will Shoot director, Roger Spottiswoode. And it's famed, this is a famous story from it, for a blow up between Ed Harris and Gene Hackman because our boy Ed insisted that his character's name be changed from Oates to Gene Hackman. And then he insisted that Gene Hackman's character's name be changed from his character's name to Hall. And then he wanted the film's title to be changed to Hall and Gene Hackman. And eventually they just changed it back in editing. Didn't work out.
It doesn't
It's a
work.
real movie. It's an actual real movie, 1979, Under Fire. Well regarded, apparently.
Interesting.
And given that cast,
is Spottiswoode a real last name?
Yes, it is.
I feel like that's something you
Tomorrow
would
Never
make
Dies. No, Tomorrow Never Dies director, Roger Spottiswoode.
So, spot his wood.
You said it, not me. That's your words.
Okay.
Okay. A little Phantom Zone.
Engage the Phantom.
Phantoms engaged, sir.
Now, all of these for my cycle are going to be pretty easy because mostly I learned about them from Phantom Zone. So I know I can make it. I think usually I've used Cranston because he was in Godzilla, the movie that you hated, Brom, and I could just move through that. I believe there's a submarine in that one.
You are aware of the joke though now. Like, I don't hate Godzilla, right?
The newest one you hate though.
I do not.
It's King Kong.
Haven't seen. There we go.
What?
See, Patrick even knows.
King Kong. I don't even know what movie you're talking about.
Okay.
Talking about Kong Island.
Yeah, Kong
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah. Sorry, I even said it wrong. But there's other ones that are directly connected. I believe the first time I went through this, I went through Steel Sharks with Larry Poindexter and Crash Dive, Jay Acavoni are both in those. So there's a lot of connections to those kind of lower budget submarine films out there as well. So I guess if I had to choose, I go through Steel Sharks because Gary Busey, and think about Gary Busey in the Fahey role with an eye patch, long black hair, and some earrings and shit.
Yes.
Okay.
Think about it.
I'll take one, please. Yes, please.
All right. That's all I got. Patrick, you have no game today, is that right?
I mean, we could go through. I mean, basically, the only thing I was going to say was like we've seen now a multitude of films by Royal Oaks Entertainment.
Oaks.
Yes. So Crash Dive was by them. Obviously, this film we've personally seen. A little movie called Fallout, starring Daniel Baldwin. Steel Sharks is by the same company. So I was like just looking through their things, trying to figure out what season of the show we could watch the rest of the Royal Oaks Entertainment catalog. Now there's a multitude of them, like there's a number of them. So just looking through like the first few, The Curse of the Komodo. So genetically engineered Komodo dragons have become ginormous creatures, hunting people on a remote tropical island. A small group of scientists must stop the dragons before they escape the island and destroy the rest of the world. What season of submersion could we get that in?
This is easy. We just talked about this last time.
Yeah.
Season 15 different animals. Komodo dragon.
Komodo dragon.
One of them.
Boom. Nailed it.
Easy breezy.
Strategic Command. Rick Harding is a former Marines officer now working in the FBI as a chemical weapons designer. And then basically, yeah, he just has to deal with some armed soldiers with some chemical weapons.
So isn't there a plane in this one or no?
It's on the poster. So it does
There's a plane,
suggest
right?
there's a plane, yes.
I believe I've watched a portion of this. I believe it takes place on Air Force One, which would be very easy with although I don't think it's the president. It may be Air Force Two. So this is tough because I would say president season where we see fake presidents and we basically hail to the chief where we're doing, every episode is kind of the next election for the new president. And we kind of like go through their life and how they did as president, et cetera. And we grade them as a president overall for the United States. But I see the thing is, I believed I'd have to go back and look. I think this may have been Air Force Two.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Well, at least some sort of airplane one we could get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have plane cast on the docket.
That's good. How about Droid Gunner? In the future, the threat of global takeover by cyborg units has forced Earth to outlaw their use. But when four female androids are smuggled to Earth, Jack 4 is assigned to track them down.
Wait, androids or cyborgs?
Says androids.
Chris, did you not say cyborg earlier in the
It does say cyborg units and then female androids. Yes, this is actually true. It's called Droid Gunner, so you would assume an android is correct.
Yeah, mostly android.
This might be them making that mistake that you feared so much,
Yeah.
I
Jamie,
feared it.
that they are mislabeling
we have
cyborgs as being entirely robotic.
Do we have a robot season?
I don't think we have a robot season yet. Although, so you said, or are they from outer space or no?
Or smuggled Earth, so presumably yes, from Mars or something.
This is easy because we can let's bring in Fallout. We have a whole space season. And this can go into space season.
I do like that.
Oh, by the way, looked it up. Strategic Command, Air Force 2, Vice President.
Okay, that's I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that's okay, actually. I feel like he has the opportunity to become president, and maybe we can make a little exception for that guy.
All right, how about this one? Inferno, 1997, starring Don Wilson, who's great. Interpol agent travels to India to find the terrorist who killed his partner. Now, what season? We have to invent a season, I think, for this one.
Say this one again. So what was the title?
It's called Inferno. It's an Interpol agent travels to India to find the terrorist who killed his partner.
I mean, one possibility, since it's Don Wilson, I should say Don the Tiger Wilson.
Dragon.
Right? Is that his name? Sorry, the Dragon.
Yes.
It could be martial arts.
Martial arts?
Because
That's a pretty popular podcast thing. How about revenge?
Revenge. I mean, that's very broad.
Yes.
What about Interpol?
I mean, you can at least watch The Medallion, right?
Right, exactly. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity with Interpol.
And you can, Charlie Nash Interpol, right? So you can watch Street Fighter Legend of Chun-Li. Yeah.
Exactly.
So you get at least 3 episodes for that season. So that's good. Short season.
Yeah. Well, no. I bet Interpol's in a whole bunch of these 90s films.
Yeah, what about a season Working the Pole, and it's all about Interpol movies?
Good one. A good title.
I like it. I like that a lot. And then finally, I'll go with... let's go with Hijack. A prestigious senator and the passengers on board a train are kidnapped by a militia group.
Train was already season 2. Isn't that season 2?
Train movies, yeah, season 2.
What is the next one up? Man, train movies... Train movies are everywhere, and they're great. Is this the one with Roy Schneider?
No, I was trying to find it. I can't find that one. It's another one they made about a train.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it's definitely the Roy Schneider one.
I'll have to actually go back and listen to our episode, because season 2, I don't know if we ever decided between
Did we not officially?
skate movies, sports movies, train movies, Point Break movies, Geostorm, and basketball movies.
Just Geostorm. Just Geostorm. Just
I believe against my wishes, it was voted as train movies.
I think so too.
And I'm going to give you a bonus. I'm going to give you guys a bonus. This movie's called Mom, Can I Keep Her? Mm-hmm. Timmy Blair has the usual 12-year-old.
Wait, by the way, did you not mention that Last Siege stars Jeff Fahey, or did you?
I did not.
Jeff Fahey and Ernie Hudson.
That's amazing.
In The Last Siege, Never Surrender. Oh, a.k.a. Hijack, 1998.
That's awesome. This is Mom, Can I Keep Her? Timmy Blair has the usual 12-year-old share of problems. His father is too busy at work. His new stepmother loads him with chores, and school life is as difficult as ever. When a furry friend follows him home from school, Timmy is delighted. There's only one problem. His new found buddy is a 500-pound gorilla. So animals again.
It could be animals. I'm trying to think if there's a better way to do it. It's animals not playing sports, right?
It does not appear to play sports. It just appears to be a very bad gorilla costume. Is that?
I wonder if it dunks a basketball, though. It may fit into sports movies or animals playing sports movies. I feel like it might. I feel like my gut says it dunks a basketball.
No, that's very interesting. Yeah, it stars Reese from Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh no, he's terrible.
He's not a good actor.
No offense to Reese, but we saw him in Christmas with the Cranks, and oof, that was tough.
Yep, pretty rough. He basically stopped working after Malcolm in the Middle. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my fake game that I just made up literally on the fly. So
Very nice.
Well, I could literally do it all day long.
Yeah, you just do it all day. It's actually quite entertaining.
All right, Brom, you want to finish this guy up?
Tube 3 ready to fire, sir.
Commence the countdown.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Give it to me.
Let me wrap this up here with my top 5 Ashok Amritraj fun facts.
Nice.
So I don't
know much about him, except I do know one thing about him.
All right,
and I'll mention it when you talk about it. I know you're going to talk about it.
Okay. Pretty interesting guy. If you read about him, he's actually having a very successful career, despite us kind of knowing him for a series of bad submarine movies. He started as a tennis player. He participated in Wimbledon. Up until about 26, he retired from tennis and switched gears into filmmaking. And I don't think it's one of my other fun facts here. So he kind of got his career launched and launched the career of one other actor. Pulled his headshot out of a bunch, and they worked together on a film. Does anyone know who I'm talking about?
Was his name Michael Dudikoff?
It was not Michael Dudikoff. It was Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, really?
Yes, Jean-Claude was a limo driver at the time, but the two teamed up and created the movie Double Impact, I think it was.
That doesn't sound right, but go on. Double Impact was the one where he plays his own twin.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think the first movie I thought was like Kickboxer, but whatever. Double Impact seems like a little sophisticated to be. You're saying it's his first movie. Is that right?
I'm not saying that. He did some work beforehand, but they both credit kind of that movie got their careers rolling.
Okay. That makes a little more sense. Yeah. Never mind.
Number 4, Ashok Amritraj's highest rated film, at least that I was able to uncover. He was the executive producer on Boondock Saints.
Whoa. Okay. Well, not Boondock Saints 2, though?
No, the original.
Okay.
Ashok is the former CEO of National Geographic Films. Number 2, he is the current chairman and CEO of Hyde Park Entertainment Film Studio, which is, I guess, a very successful alternative to conventional Hollywood productions.
What kind of films do they have? Do you know any?
I do. I have their film catalog pulled up here. A few that you might know: 99 Homes,
Don't know that one.
Life of Crime with Jennifer Aniston. Looks like it's got Tim Robbins in it. Isla Fisher, Will Forte. Here's one called Bernie with Jack Black.
Yeah, Weekend at
that one.
Bernie's.
There we
Yeah,
go.
that's definitely seen that one.
Careful What You Wish For. Looks like Nick Jonas in a horror movie. Don't know that one.
Ooh.
It does have. There are some big ones here.
There are some good ones.
Like Blue Valentine.
Yes. Yes.
So he's the current head of that. Is that what it's just?
He is the current CEO. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's,
Well, that's not listed on the production companies of Blue Valentine, so I don't know. I'm not sure where you're getting your info about this guy, but I don't think the library matches up with the actual production. They may just own the title at this point.
with Blue Valentine.
Yeah. I don't know.
I heard that it was one of his highest rated films, but I actually couldn't find where he's attached to that one either, so I don't know.
Exactly, yeah. I think maybe he's the CEO of the company that now owns like the rights to it or something. I don't think they were necessarily involved with the production.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Number 1, interesting little fun fact, he allowed his parents to arrange his marriage, something that they wanted to do since he was a boy. They vetted 300 girls and their families before agreeing on, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correct, Chitra. And Ashok is married to Chitra to this day and is quoted as saying that the arranged marriage worked wonderfully for him, but each society has a different take on this, he acknowledges. But that is my top 5 Ashok Amritraj fun facts.
They were all very
It's
fun.
interesting. Yeah, the fun fact about Jean-Claude Van Damme, which is it's just very similar to Dudikoff, because the story with Dudikoff was that he was like a comedy actor. He like was in Bachelor Party and stuff like that, and then he had wanted to potentially. He's like just like auditioning all the time, so he's auditioning for this thing called American Ninja, and he goes in and basically they took one look at him like, "You're hired," and he's like, don't you want to like know if I can do it? Like I don't know martial arts. Like, isn't that going to be a problem? And then the martial artist came in and asked him if he ever played a sport. And he said, "Oh, I played like football in high school." And he's like, "Yeah, you'll be fine." And that was the end of that. They just really liked how he looked. They were just like, "Yeah, he's our American Ninja." And then they just taught him how to be a martial artist. So
Interesting. Yeah. All right.
not so dissimilar to how we became the Bad Movie Twins too.
Yes.
What's the backstory there?
Oh, well, it was like we were auditioning for Bad Movie Twins. That's badmovietwins.com. And they took one look at us. Obviously, they were like, "You're twins, check." And they checked that off the checkbox. And then they looked at our face and they said it's angular and perfectly round. Like it's actually just a sphere, a ball, but also angular. It's a very angular nose, but a perfect ball around that very angular nose. And they were like, this is perfect. This is exactly what we want out of badmovietwins.com.
Yep. I remember this. This is exactly how it happened.
Yeah.
And the rest, as they say, was history. Ba, 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 ba.
Thanks for listening to Submersion. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Don't forget to subscribe for new episodes every Thursday. If you like what you heard, please leave us a rating on iTunes.